So welcome everyone to the Global Azure 2022 Pune edition. The title of this talk is Introduction to AI and Cognitive Services for Developers and Information Workers. Who am I? My name is Prashant Bhoyar. I was born and raised in India. I grew up in Nagpur, Maharashtra. I did my engineering there, and in 2007, I came to United States for studies. University of Maryland College Park alumni. I co-authored a book, PowerShell for Office 65. I also acted as a technical reviewer for the book Pro SharePoint 2030 Administration. I'm from Washington DC area of United States, and we organize a lot of, or we used to organize a lot of in-person community conferences. But ever since the pandemic has started, we have converted all our conferences to virtual only. So if you are interested, we have three meetups. One meetup is on AI and ML, second is on Microsoft 65, and third one is on SQL Big Data. And we typically post the information about user group meetings and conferences on meetup.com. And also we have a site called azurecloudevents.com where you see the upcoming events and also the link to the YouTube channel where we typically post the recordings. I am recipient of Untitled Service Medal, and since 2017, I'm also recipient of Microsoft MVP Award. Those of you who don't know, I don't work for Microsoft. It's just the additional recognition that Microsoft gives out to the folks who does technical contributions. And these technical contributions can be in the form of speaking, writing blog posts, contributing to open source project, providing direct feedback to the Microsoft product group, answering people's questions on various public forum, creating training content and posting them for free on streaming platforms such as YouTube or Twitch. And this award typically valid for 12 months only. And after 12 months, you had to submit your nomination again. And if your contributions are good enough, then you get rewarded for additional 1 year. So initially, I was an MVP in Office 65 apps and services, especially SharePoint. And since 2019, I changed my category to AI. And right now I work as cloud solution architect at AIS, where I focus on intelligent business process automation, where I use variety of the products and services in Microsoft ecosystem, such as Azure, Azure AI, Microsoft 65 Power Platform. And I work at AIS Reston, Virginia office. AIS is providing services in Microsoft ecosystem from last 40 years, and we have been recipient of Microsoft Partner of the Year award on multiple occasions. Just like all other companies, AIS is growing, and we have a lot of openings in AIS Hyderabad location. So if you or anyone in your network is looking for a change, we are looking for people who are well versed in Microsoft stack, such as Azure, custom development, Power Platform, and Microsoft 365. So this is going to be an agenda. It is going to be a 100 level session, like very introductory level session, where we'll talk about the approach. We'll start with what is AI, what is machine learning, and what are cognitive services, and how you can get started. In case you're interested, what are some of the ways you can get started? We have a couple of demos, key takeaways, and Q&A. Even though I mentioned Q&A towards the end, feel free to post your questions in the chat window. I am using two screens so I can monitor the chat window, and along with us, we also have Nandeep and Kunj, and they will also monitor the chat window and let us know if you have any questions. And I think you can also unmute yourself if you prefer to come off mute and ask the question. That's okay as well. So the approach we are going to take in this session is, so this session is geared towards non-data scientists. So if you don't have any background in data science, then that's good. The target audience is developer, IT pros, and power users. So before we jump into talking about some of the AI services, it is very, very important for us to understand where we are in our journey in terms of AI. So this is the definition I got from Google's AI researcher. AI is nothing but an effort to automate intellectual tasks normally performed by humans. And at least this was the case with me. Whenever a lot of people think about AI or talk about AI, the first thing that comes to their mind is the Skynet or the movie Terminator, where we have cyborgs, or the Guardian of Galaxy, where we have a lot of superheroes fighting the aliens. So when it comes to the AI, we have three categories. One is the strong AI, where Machines are so powerful, they can travel across the galaxy, they can invade other planets, they can destroy other planets. Right now, strong AI only exists in science fiction movies. Then there is a second category called artificial general intelligence, where machines are very powerful. They can perform really complicated tasks, which are difficult for an average human being. And one of the example I can give you here is if you have seen Marvel Comics franchise called Iron Man, there is a main character called Tony Stark. And Tony has his personal assistant called Javris. Javris falls under AGI. Again, AGI right now exists in sci-fi movies and novels. Where we are is we have a specialized services for specialized tasks. Now, one of the service you're seeing on the screen is a real-time speech to text service that is available out of the box in Microsoft PowerPoint, where whatever I'm speaking is getting translated to the language I select. And here I have a luxury of selecting other languages as well. So for example, if I go here and if I go and change the subtitle settings, since the event is in Pune, let's see if we have support for Marathi. Looks like no. So let's go with Hindi. And someone from the audience just confirm whether the subtitles are currently getting translated into the Hindi language or not. Similarly, I can change the language to a lot of other supported languages, but this is where we are, and this is really important to understand like what's possible today. So that using that information, then you can decide which kind of application you would like to launch, especially if you are working in enterprise, where typically the adoption of the new technology is a little bit slow as compared to, let's say, some product development companies. So you have to be very careful in terms of where we are in our AI journey and what's possible today. So you can take into consideration and start implementing some applications in your company. I'm going to turn back the subtitles to English now. Okay, so this is the mission statement from Microsoft. They would like to make data science and AI accessible to everyone. It doesn't matter where you are located, what your role is. And some of the services that are coming from Microsoft quite align really well with this particular mission statement. So if you have to look the core AI services in Microsoft ecosystem, those are part of Azure AI. Let me see if I can get rid of. Those are part of Azure AI, where under scenario-based services or applied AI services, we have bot service, cognitive search, form recognizer, video analyzer, metrics advisor, and immersive reader. Under customizable AI models, we have vision, speech, language, decision, and open AI. And if you would like to build your own machine learning model, then Azure Machine Learning is for you. Now, the reason I mentioned Azure AI is the core AI services, because if you are familiar with Power Platform or Microsoft 365, they also have some kind of AI services available. For example, in Power Platform, we have Power Virtual Agent AI Builder. In Microsoft 365, we have SharePoint Syntax. But behind the scene, use Azure AI. So Azure AI is the core services, or we call it as a first party services. So not only we can use this service, but internally Microsoft, different product groups also use these services behind the scene and have their own respective AI services. For example, Power Virtual Agent, they behind the scene, they use the same cognitive services that we have access to. AI Builder behind the scene, they use the same cognitive service that we have access to. What these different product groups have done is they have added some additional features on the top of it and then made the usage of this AI services very easy. Of course, anything that is easy or with additional feature sets always comes with an additional price tag. So that's where you see some of the services, AI services in Power Platform versus if you compare the cost with Azure AI services, the price for the AI services in Power Platform tends to be on a little bit higher side as compared to the Azure side. So if you are interested, these are some of the resources you can follow, which you can dive deep into various topics here. One particular resource I will mention is AI School. Here you'll see a lot of good tutorials available from Microsoft, which you can watch for free. The model here is similar to what we have in Coursera or edx.org, where you will have really nice tutorials that you can watch on your own time and learn from it. So I had this dilemma, like when I started exploring the AI services in Microsoft ecosystem, I didn't have any background and I was like struggling, okay, where shall I go? Because There are so many services out there. So if you're like me, then you can follow this flowchart, like depending on what you would like to do. For example, if you would like to get your hands dirty in data science or stats or machine learning, then Azure Machine Learning is for you. Depending on where you would like to host your model, then you have a lot of options. If you're like me, who's more interested in consuming the service pre-trained services out there, then cognitive services and bots are for you. Now, I will not be covering bots in detail, but it's important to know like what are some of the options you have when it comes to the Microsoft ecosystem. So if you are interested in implementing bots, whether it's a chat bot or voice-based bot, we have two options available in Microsoft ecosystem. First is platform as a service, where we have Microsoft Bot Framework. The second is software as a service, where we have Power Virtual Agent. Now, Microsoft Bot Framework is an open source SDK and tools, and it's built for custom bot development. The target audience here is developers. You need to be a developer, and right now 4 major languages are supported. So you can create a custom bot using C#, Node.js, Java, or Python. However, if you are planning to host your bot using Azure Bot Service, then only C# and Node.js is supported. What does that mean is if you create your custom bot using Python or Java, you have to host that bot yourself, either in a VM or in a VM in public cloud or VM in your on-premise infrastructure. And Microsoft Bot Framework is open source, so you can go to this particular link and find more information about that. Power Virtual Agent is one of the newest member of Microsoft Power Platform, and it provides you a no-code experience for bot development. It's ideal for business users and domain expert to easily build a bot. And behind the scene, it uses Microsoft Bot Framework and also other Microsoft Cognitive Services to create an intelligent bot. And you can go to this particular link, powervirtualagents.microsoft.com, to find more information about it. You can So Power Virtual Agent standalone is a licensed product. You have to subscribe. You have to buy the license before you can start using it. However, this product also comes as a free version as part of Dataverse for Teams. So if your organization using Teams and via your existing team license, you can get access to Dataverse for Teams. Then you can also use Power Virtual Agents for free with some caveats and some limitation. But it's a really good way to start exploring Power Virtual Agent and see whether it makes sense to use that in your company. And if you really like it, then you can always think of converting that free version to the standalone version, which is a paid version. For that, so Azure Machine Learning, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm not going to go really deep into the data science and machine learning. Even though you're interested in using some pre-trained services, it is important to understand some basics or how exactly the machine learning works. So machine learning is all about predictions, and what we typically do is we examine the large amount of data, and using the machine learning algorithm of our choice, we try to find the pattern in it. And using that model, then we create a smarter application. So if you had to conceptualize that, then just imagine you have a huge set of data, and that data will have some patterns. Okay. And then you will be using machine learning algorithm of your choice, which will help you to identify the pattern or find the pattern in your existing set of data. And then you'll generate a model from it. And once your model is generated, your model will help you to recognize the pattern. But here comes the most important step. Even though you have a really good model, you have to integrate that model with an application. And then to your application, then you will be feeding the new set of data, and that application will then able to recognize the pattern using the model you generated. The point I'm making here is why this is important, because you'll always need the combination of team to have a successful AI implementation. Like you will need data scientists who will build a model, but you will also need developers who can use that model and create smarter application. Now, with some of the low-code, no-code tools, you can also use citizen developers, or you can be a power user, such, for example, a Power Virtual Agent. So that means I know there is a lot of debate in the industry saying, oh, sooner or later we will have very sophisticated machine learning algorithms, and we will need less and less technical people to do their job. I disagree with that. Yes, the nature of work we'll be doing will be different than what is today, but still you'll need people with different skills to make the maximum usage of the powerful machine learning models that will get created in future. These are some of the popular machine learning algorithms are out there. And if you're interested, you can learn about this by going to this particular link on docs.microsoft.com, where you'll see detailed information about all these popular uh, machine learning algorithms. Now, if you don't want to get your hands dirty with data science or machine learning and stats, and trust me, that particular trade is really, really hard to master. Like data science is not everyone's cup of tea. Then you can use pre-trained services. Now, cognitive services are pre-trained services from Microsoft. If you are a Google shop or IBM shop or AWS shop or let's say Oracle shop, pretty much majority of the big vendors have their own pre-trained services available to us. You may have seen a commercial for IBM Watson. IBM Watson also has, in their service offering, also has some pre-trained services available to us. But in this session, I'll be mostly focusing on Microsoft pre-trained services, that those are available to us as a cognitive service. So cognitive services are nothing but a REST-based API that are available to us, and it's very, very easy to use. All you need to do is go to Azure portal, create a service that you would like to use, and just get its URL, its key, and then you can start using it with any application of your choice, as long as that application can consume REST-based API. That means you can use any language of your choice as long as that language supports REST-based API. That means even though this service is from Microsoft, you can use any language. You can use Java, Node.js, Go, Python, as long as those languages support consumption of REST-based API. Same goes with any tool or any product that you're using. As long as that product supports consumption of REST-based API, you can use that. So if you are familiar with some of the RPA tools, for example, Power Automate Desktop or Blue Prism or UiPath, all these big players have a ability to consume REST-based API. That means you can use cognitive services with that as well. So as I mentioned, any application that can consume REST-based API. So if you're a developer, you can pretty much use any language of your choice. You can use even Azure Logic Apps as well, where you can consume the REST-based API. If you're not a developer, if you're a Power user or a citizen developer, you can use that with Power Automate or Microsoft Flow. You can use that even with SharePoint Designer 2013. Now, I won't recommend that product to anyone, but if that's the only product available to you because of some reason, that particular product has ability to call external REST-based API. So by using that particular action, you can call the cognitive services. And as I mentioned, any third-party products like WinAutomate, UiPath, Blue Prism, Nintex, K2, WebCon, most of these popular products have the ability to call REST-based API. So you can integrate cognitive services with that. And what I will do is next is I'll just quickly give you the demo of the cognitive service, and then we'll go deeper and deeper into it. So if you are in front of a screen, what I will recommend you is, let me resize this so that the subtitles are also visible. So if you are in front of a screen, what I will recommend you is you can follow these steps along with me. Just open your favorite browser and favorite search engine and just search for Microsoft Cognitive Services. And the link we are looking for is this one, Cognitive Services API for AI Solution. So here, if you scroll down, you will see the information about APIs and other stuff. But most importantly, if you scroll down towards the middle section, you'll see that these APIs are classified into 5 categories. By default, the speech is selected, and under speech, we have speech to text, text to speech, speech translation, speaker recognition. Under language, we have entity recognition, sentiment analysis, question answering, conversational language understanding, translator. Under vision, we have computer vision, custom vision, and face API. And under decision, we have anomaly detector, content moderator, and personalizer. And this is the latest OpenAI service, which is in preview right now. So let's say if you're interested in exploring any of the existing service, the first thing you can do is then just click on the link for it. For example, let's say we are interested in exploring the computer vision. So I'll be opening the computer vision specific page. So on this page, if you scroll down, you may or you may not see a sample application that you can play with just to understand how this service particular work. For example, here in the computer vision API page, what Microsoft has done is they have built a custom app. And here there is an image that has been sent to the computer vision API. And on the right hand section, you see the results from the computer vision API. And what computer vision API is telling us is this image has train in it. And when it comes to machine learning, everything is prediction. So if the model that is getting used behind the scene is confident enough about their prediction, then the confidence score will be high here. For example, the model is correctly predicting that this image has a train, and the confidence score is almost like 99%. Then the second is platform. Again, the confidence score is 99%. Station, again, like pretty high confidence. Indoor, pretty high. Subway, then clothing, because if you see the image is blurred, so that's why the model is not able to clearly say that someone has there are some clothes here. That's why you see the confidence score is almost like 50%. Person, the same thing, 50%. Pulling, same thing, the 50%. And if you scroll down, let's say if you go with this particular image, then these are some of the results coming back in terms of the tags. Like, okay, it has a person. Yes, the confidence score is pretty high. The laptop confidence score is pretty high. When it comes to the woman, the confidence score is not that high. Maybe the model is still not smart enough to clearly identify a woman in a picture. And one of the cool things about machine learning is as more and more people start using it, the algorithms behind the scene will get better and better in terms of prediction. So let's say if you like what you saw here, and the next thing you would like to do is you would like to start using this service and build some intelligent application. So to use cognitive services, you need to have access to Azure. Without access to Azure, you cannot use cognitive services. So the next thing you will be doing is, excuse me, you'll be going to the Azure portal. And depending on which particular service you are interested in, you will need to create that service. For example, let's say create a resource. Let's call it as computer vision. And let's click create. So most of the services in Azure come, or especially with cognitive services, come with a free tier. With one caveat. You can use free tier for any service once per subscription. So let's say if I have two subscription, and in one subscription, if somebody already has used the free tier, then no one else can use the free tier again. The only option they have to go with standard S1. With the free tier, we can do 20 calls per minute, and we can do 5,000 calls per month. This is a really good way to quickly try out the service and see whether this service is able to satisfy any business problem you're trying to solve or not. So now what I will go do is we'll just go ahead with some of the configuration. Let's use the AI here. Region is very, very important when it comes to any of the cognitive service, because depending on what region you select, the results you get may vary, especially if you are using computer vision API for content moderation, and most of your users are in Middle East, or let's say in Asian countries. And let's say if you select the region as East US or some of the European countries, the results you will see will totally different than what let's say the users are expecting in Asia, or in let's say in Middle East, because most of these models are trained on local data, and the prediction they will do is based on some of the local preferences. So selecting the correct region is really, really important here. Let's call it as local Azure Pune 2022. And then pricing tier, let's go with free. And you have to accept that, okay, you will be using this AI services responsibly, and you will not be violating any of the licensing terms that you are signing with Microsoft. Let's click review and create. And if everything looks good, then just create. And once this will get created, then the only thing you need is the URL of your the computer vision service, which is going to be this one, and the key. You can also get the same thing like if in the left-hand navigation, if you click on keys and endpoint, there you can copy the endpoint URL and the key, and that's it. Using the combination of these two, now you can use this computer vision service in any customization of your choice. So before I go further, I would like to pause here and see if anyone has any question or any comment so far.
Yeah, nothing in the chat window so far, but I had seen one hand raise. So
Okay.
probably that was from. Okay, but whosoever had the hand raised, can you please unmute and ask the question?
Or you can post your question in the chat window as well.
Yeah, I see Asha unmuted. So Asha, do you have any question for Prashant?
No, sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. All right, okay, Prashant. So you can continue. Thank you.
Okay. So this is like what we created is the computer vision service. But let's see, I have also created a similar service for the language as well. Where language, if I go back here, uh, what we can do is we can do entity recognition. We can also do the sentiment analysis. We can also find out like what kind of language that particular statement is. So here I will show you a couple of demos. One demo is using low code or no code so that anyone can use this service and create some intelligent application. The second demo will be then using some custom code. So the first demo I have is using SharePoint. So if you're not familiar with SharePoint, it's okay. It's just the data store will be using. You can replace SharePoint with, let's say, any other data store for that matter. You can use, let's say, OneDrive, or you can use SQL, or you can build, let's say, any other app which is going to store your records somewhere. So here what we are doing is we are capturing feedback from the users. And the feedback we're capturing is in this particular column. And the moment someone submits a feedback, we have created a backend automation using Power Automate. And here, if you don't have access to Power Automate, you can also use Logic Apps there. And whatever the comments are getting entered here, we'll be sending that to the text analytics API or language service. And whatever results come back from the language service, we are then updating in this particular feedback itself. Like, for example, we'll be getting the information about sentiment score. Sentiment score means how is the statement, whether it's positive or negative. If the statement is positive, the sentiment score, it tends to be on higher side. If the text is negative, then sentiment score will be towards the lower side. Then what's the language and what are some of the key phrases? So just like our Azure pages, I'll be also resizing this so we can see the subtitles. So let's go ahead and add the feedback. So I'll be calling this as Global Azure 2022 Pune. Let's give a good shout out to Nandeep, Smita, and Siddharth, and the rest of the organizers. Amazing job. Okay, let's save this and behind the scene, I have created purposefully. I have created 3 Power Automate, and I'll just show you the implementation in a minute. So the first one is to extract the key phrases. And if I show you the implementation is very, very straightforward. Let me open this as well, and let me open this as well. So the implementation is very, very straightforward. Once it's open, I'll show you. Okay, so we are starting this Power Automate whenever a new item gets added into that feedback list. And that is going to be the trigger. And what we are doing is we are using an out-of-the-box action available called key phrases. And usage of this action is very, very simple. All you have to do is you have to specify the text. And if you click on this menu, then you have to configure your connection. And what you have to do is just click add new connection. And all you need is the name of the connection, the account key, and the site URL. And you can get that from your Azure portal. So for example, if I go here and if I go to the keys and endpoint, this is the information I need, the endpoint URL, the key, and then I can start using that in my Power Automate here. And then once the key phrases are coming back, then we are using apply each so that we can go through the array of key phrases. And one by one, then we update that value into this particular column or field we have called key phrases. Similarly, when it comes to detecting the language, same thing we are doing. As soon as the feedback gets submitted, the action we are calling is detect language. We are specifying the text, and in the form of connection, we're specifying which particular language service I will be using. And then whatever the language comes back in the form of array, then we are adding that back to, let's say, the language column here. Same thing we are doing with the sentiment. The action we are using is called detect sentiment. And we are using this connection to our language service. And whatever the sentiment score comes back, so we are updating back to the sentiment score. So let's go back here and let me quickly refresh it and see if any of the flows has finished. So looks like all the three Power Automate flows have finished. The sentiment score came back as 0.98, which is very, very close to 100 because most of the comment here are pretty positive. Then the language came back as EN. EN stand for English. And the key phrases came back as amazing job. So here I would like to see if any questions. Looks like there is a question from Abhijit. Okay, so the question for from Abhijit is, can these services communicate with each other? Answer is yes, but it won't happen automatically. You have to do, make that happen. For example, the scenario you're describing. Okay, so if you are calling the speech recognition, and from there, so let's say that I'm having hard time comprehending like what kind of practical scenarios we can use with speech recognition and image recognition. But one scenario I can give you here is, let's say you are implementing a chatbot, and in that chatbot, then you can use various, let's say, cognitive services. For example, let's say you added the voice support. So you are talking with that bot using your voice. That means first thing you had to do is speech to text. So whatever you're speaking needs to get translated into text, and that text will then get sent to your chatbot. Then your chatbot will comprehend that text, and be depending on your business logic in your chatbot, then that chatbot may in turn call some additional. Okay, no, let's take that back. Okay, so you're using speech to text, and I'm talking with the chatbot. I'm using the speech to text service. The text is getting sent to the chatbot, and then the chatbot in turn call the language service and interpret whatever I'm speaking is positive statements, or I'm angry. So it's trying to comprehend whether I'm in angry mode or I'm in like happy mode. So depending on what mood I am or how I'm talking, the chatbot may respond differently. If I'm super angry, the chatbot may just connect me to actual human agent. If I'm in a good mode, then it may just continue the conversation. So behind the scene, you can do that. And again, at the end of the day, all these services have nothing but APIs. That means you can call one API from another as long as you know how to make the call and pass the required parameters. You can do that. But that's a really good question you ask, because the next thing I want to show you here is, so let's say if you are a pro dev and you would like to use this APIs, so depending on which particular API you're using, you'll be seeing a different URLs that you had to construct. For example, if I'm interested in extracting the language, then my URL of my text analytics API will be the service URL that I'll get from the Azure portal, then slash text slash analytics slash whatever the version is, and then slash language, then slash key phrases slash sentiment. Similarly, if I'm going with no, let's go back. Let's go back. We saw this particular demo. Now let me show you another demo using the custom code here. So the demo I'll be showing you is quite practical. You can use that in your organizations as well. What I have done is I have a two Word document on my machine. First document has text written in English, like AI is awesome, Microsoft is awesome, Cognitive services are awesome. And the second document, what I have is same kind of statements, but these statements are written in Spanish language. Okay. And I have built this custom console application, and using this console application, what we'll be doing is we will be reading the contents of this two Word document, and then we'll be sending this content to the language services API. And then that language services API then can tell us which language that document is written, what are some of the key phrases, and what's the sentiment score. And depending on those information, then you can decide where to keep those documents, whether to keep in the same location or whether you would like to move those documents to some other location because you would like to you would like to store the documents, or you would like to tag the documents appropriately. So let me quickly run through this console application. The implementation is very, very simple. The sample code is already available on my GitHub profile. All I had to do is create a console application and add NuGet packages that are required for to make the call to the text analytics API. And again, if you go to the Microsoft documentation, or if you go to, let's say, here on Microsoft site, let's say if you go with language service entity recognition, if you scroll down on this page itself, you will see the step-by-step guide from Microsoft, like how to use these services and let's say create an application using C# or some other. For example, here, if I go to the code samples, I should be able to see the code samples that are available to me that I can quickly use. Like you can specify, let's say C# as a language. So you can see there are like multiple options available to you, like Azure Text Analytics sample for .NET. If you go there, then you'll see the step-by-step guide, like how to use that. So I highly recommend if you are interested in trying this out, just go through the Microsoft documentation, see which language you like which language, depending on your preferred language, you'll see multiple samples over there. So this sample is built using C#. Let me quickly run through this in the debug mode. And what we'll be doing is real time, we'll be reading the content of these two Word documents, sending those contents to the text analytics API. And whatever the results come back, then we'll be displaying that on the screen. Okay, so let me show you the console here. So let's start from the bottom here. So here the language values. So the first one came as English, and the confidence score is 0.85. And the first document was, or Word document was written in English. The second came as Spanish, and the confidence score was pretty high. So that means this language service has correctly predicted that the first document was written in English and second was in Spanish. Now, when it comes to the key phrases, the first document, the key phrases came as Cognitive Services AI and Microsoft. The second document came as again, I cannot pronounce this, but mostly the same words I use in Spanish. Now, when it comes to the confidence, the sentiment score, it came here, and you can see that. The point I'm trying to make here is using the services, you can build a lot of practical application. For example, if I have a lot of files in my file share, and if you would like to automatically classify those or automatically tag those, I can use these services so that, automatically, like programmatically, I will read the content of the file, send that to the text analytics API, and depending on whatever the results are, we can then classify, okay, this file is for finance department or HR department, is written in English. And if you have any additional keywords, then we can also tag with that. So here I would like to pause and see if anyone has any questions or comments so far.
Yeah, nothing in the chat window so far.
Okay, and we have 20 more minutes, right? Is that accurate?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
perfect. All right. So the next thing I want to show is, let's see. So we saw this. Let's go back to our, okay, let's go back to our cognitive services. And let me see if I can show you a few more of those. Some of the services have, let's say, vision. Okay, speech. Let's see if you have any speech to text, any sample that we can play with. All right. So here, if you go to this particular page here, let me see if I can use this. Okay, allow. Okay, I'm speaking now and see whether, whatever I'm speaking is getting displayed on the screen or not. So highly recommend, like if you really are curious, some of the services you will see that Microsoft has given us some sample application that we can play with. Earlier, we used to have a sample application for text analytics API, but looks like they have removed it. But at least some of the services does have that. So using this, you can quickly see how the services work. So that was one of the example. Let's see if we have for someone else as well. So if I go here, so we saw the example of that. Let's go to vision again, and let's go to language, and let's go to this preview service and see if any sample application is there that we can play with. Nope, this does not have that. So a couple of things you have to keep in mind. So cognitive services are pre-trained services. That means you as a consumer of the service does not have control over how this model is built, and you will not have any visibility how this model is making any kind of prediction behind the scene. Everything is controlled by the vendor, which is in this case is Microsoft. And let's say the results that you're seeing okay, so the question Asha is asking what languages I can use to consume this cognitive services. So any language that can consume REST-based API, you can use that. That means all the modern languages you can use that, like Java, Python, Node.js, Go, C#, even PowerShell as well. So as long as you can call REST-based API, you can use that. So since these are pre-trained services, you don't have much control over the results. And let's say there is a peculiar use case that you have in your organization where the results that you're seeing from these generic cognitive services or pre-trained services are not enough, then Azure Machine Learning is for you. So using Azure Machine Learning, what you can do is you can build your own custom model in Azure, and you can deploy that model as a web service. So once you deploy your model as a web service, then your developers can go and start consuming this model. Again, I'm not an expert in machine learning, but maybe a couple of years before, I played with okay, and machine learning. But couple of uh, years before I played with it. Again, I used the classic designer that time. I think that is retired now, but I just quickly wanted to show you that's fine. So it's going to get retired, but I just want to show you like what some of the powerful things that you will get with this one. So if I go to the new web service experience, so I just watched some Microsoft tutorial and I created my sample machine learning algorithm. But one of the good thing is I deployed that using Azure Machine Learning Studio, and now I can consume that model in the form of REST APIs. And you can see here on this particular page, I get a sample code in C#, Python, Python 3 plus and R that I can use to call this particular model, which is deployed as a web service. So Azure Machine Learning is a very, very powerful tool in terms of you would like to have a team of data scientists and developers, where data scientists will build the model deployed to Azure Machine Learning as a web service, and then developer will then use that web service and start creating smarter applications. Any questions so far before we move on to the last section of this talk? Okay, it does no. So if you are really interested in getting started with all these AI services in Microsoft ecosystem, and if you don't have required access, then these are some of the programs that can help you to get started. One of the program is Microsoft 365 Developer Program. So on this, if you go to this particular link, there you can go and sign up for the program. And once you sign up, you can get your personal Microsoft 365 subscription for free with E5 licenses. And that particular subscription will come with 25 users and it will be valid for 90 days. And after 90 days, if Microsoft finds out that you're using the subscription for personal and training and development, then they will automatically increase your trial period for additional 90 days. And they will keep on doing it as long as this program is active. I'm personally using a tenant from this program from last 4 years. And you will be a global admin. The tenant will come with Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Teams, Power Automate, Power Apps, and you can also sign up for the free trial of SharePoint Syntax with it. SharePoint Syntax, I need to double check on that, but you can also definitely sign up for the free trial of AI Builder and Power Virtual Agent. So you can play with some of those applied AI services over there. You can also sign up for the free trial, but whenever you sign up for free trial, you have to use your credit card. To use cognitive services, you need subscription to Azure. And there are multiple ways where you can get subscription to Azure. My personal recommended, personal favorite is if you have access to MSDN, go to your MSDN portal and see your current subscription allows you to access for some credits. For example, if you have access to enterprise subscription, you typically get $150 of credit per month for free, and you don't have to use a credit card. So this is a really good way of having your own sandbox environment where you will be admin and you will have fixed credit that you can use. And even if you go over, you won't get charged for your credit card. Only thing that will happen is your subscription will get disabled for a few days. And once the new cycle starts, you will get $150 credit back again. And then your subscription, you can start using it. So it's a really good way to have your own sandbox environment without to worry about the charges. You can always sign up for free trial. However, you need a credit card for the free trial. There's another program from Microsoft called Azure for Students where you don't need a credit card. All you need is a valid educational account, and you can go to this particular link to find whether the educational account you have qualifies for Azure for Student or not. So hopefully the contents we covered today made you explore the cognitive services and applied AI services. And if you don't have access to Microsoft 365 tenant or as an admin, definitely check out this program from Microsoft. So these are the things we covered today. And these are some of the references I use. Feel free to contact me on the email, or I'm also available on LinkedIn and Twitter if you have any follow-up questions. With that, let me know if you have any questions, and thank you very much for joining us today.